I think what is happening is that whether we kind of realized it or not prior to this event, is that probably between 50 and 60% of our behavior was on autopilot. So we
Mm.
actually didn't have to put a lot of thinking into the work we were doing. We were able to essentially coast. And the better you are at your job, the more likely you're going to spend time in autopilot because you've just developed those skill sets, those traits that you need to be able to do your job well. So again, traveling, moving all over the country, all over the world, Dr. Wells, in terms of the work that you do, that's a skill set that you've acquired. You've been able to do that. So you get to lean into autopilot. And again, we call that mastery. Essentially, that's where we want to get to in a lot of the skills. But what happened 5 weeks ago is essentially we got thrown into this new ecosystem where we had to learn everything all over again. We needed to learn, different forms of technology. Like for us, we're using Zoom today. We
Yeah.
needed to think about our jobs and our roles and our responsibilities in a different way. So instead of being able to have like 60% of our energy reserved on this kind of like low functioning autopilot mode, we've actually had to be on our A game in a big way where we've had these learning explosions. And what's interesting, I would argue, a lot of people have not had to readjust and refocus their lives so substantively as we have in the last 5 weeks. Probably not since you actually started kindergarten. So think about like the last time your world got totally turned upside down would likely kindergarten. And when we did that when we were little, we used to get naps, right? They used to put us down for naps. They used to like let us have meltdowns because that was normal. And what's happening now is we're on point of learning all this skill set. So we're exhausted because of, again, as you described, it's cognitive load. We're not meant to be on our A games 24 hours a day. And that's why we actually lean into those feelings of almost feeling numb or overwhelmed or just exhausted, even though you might not even have left your office space in terms of your home office or in your house, yet you feel depleted. So that's because we're just learning and we're not having our opportunity to lean into autopilot. And it's interesting because autopilot is actually where you renew. You actually have renewal that happens when you're doing remote tasks, like basic
Mhm.
tasks. So for a lot of us, our autopilot is actually how we did self-care. And now we're not doing self-care the same way we used to.